Hey everybody, welcome back to the Mass Retirees Weekly Update. Today's Friday, April 14th. I'm Sean Duhamel. Thank you so much for joining with us and tuning in again this week. Now, before I jump into the news of the week, let me first remind everybody that we are kicking off our spring area membership meetings with a meeting today in Medford at the Medford Malden Elks. It kicks off at 11 a.m. The start times of all of our in-person area meetings will be 11 a.m. unless we note otherwise. For our virtual teletown hall meetings, the kickoff time is 1 o'clock. That allows our members who live outside of the Massachusetts or New England area and other parts of the country, even the world, to give them the opportunity to join with us, that we're not doing it too early in the morning. But today, again, 11 a.m. at the Medford Malden Elks. It's our first time at this location. Traditionally, the North of Boston area meeting has always been held in Somerville at the Holiday Inn, but with all of the construction going on in that area, both road construction and buildings going up, we felt it would be a little bit easier for everybody to navigate, to move the meeting to a new location outside of a hotel, supporting local organizations. So we're excited for this new venue. If you're in the Medford Malden general area today, please come on by, say hello. All of our members are welcome to bring a guest. The meeting's going to run about 90 minutes for those of you who have not attended one of our meetings before, and also gives you an opportunity to speak with us, personally or privately, to ask us questions, or if you need help with anything related to your retirement and you want to see us in person, these area meetings are a great opportunity to do that. Now, on page 3 of the current newsletter, which all of you should have received by now, is a full listing of our upcoming events for the remainder of the spring, including the teletown hall meeting that's taking place in early June, which will focus on the legislative process. Now, moving on to the news of the week. We know that all of you should know by now that the Group Insurance Commission is currently undergoing its annual open enrollment period. That kicked off a week ago Wednesday. Several thousand inquiries have come into the GIC just over the past week. They have been absolutely flooded with phone calls. They have their new online portal, My GIC Link, up and running. But with any new technology or any new way of going about things, there are always going to be some hiccups. So one of the hiccups the GIC has been experiencing is just long wait times and some delays of getting back to people. So if you are one of these individuals who has reached out to the GIC, be patient, give them a day or two to get back to you. If you don't hear from them, or if it's something pressing, you can always reach out to us, whether it be Cheryl Stillman or Nancy or myself or Trish or Bill or Frank, anybody at our association. You can get in touch with us. We will help either to answer your question, and if we can't, we will make sure that that question gets to the appropriate person at the GIC to get back to you. But you do have until Wednesday, May 3rd, to make any changes that are needed through open enrollment. Now, the good news is, and this really bears repeating, that if you are a Medicare enrollee enrolled through the Unicare Medicare Extension Plan, there's nothing you need to do. There are no major changes taking place with your plan. There's very little change at all taking place in terms of Medicare plans. But the vast majority of our members are insured through Medicare, and of those members, the majority of you are enrolled in the Unicare Medicare Extension Plan, and that's not changing. So if you are one of these individuals, regardless of where you live, there's nothing you need to do to make any changes unless, of course, you want to. So again, if you have questions or concerns, give us a shout. Now, yesterday, we held a special virtual meeting through Zoom. It was a webinar. We had about 200 members come and go over the course of about 90 minutes. We were thrilled to be joined by GIC Executive Director Matt Vino, along with Government Affairs Director Mike Berry from the GIC. Both Matt and Mike were with us for the full 90 minutes, answering questions and giving information about open enrollment and what retirees need to be concerned about. They also heard some very valuable feedback from members with questions or concerns or looking for clarification. So that was also very, very helpful. It's really a two-way street in terms of sharing information both from the GIC providing all of you with information, but then giving Matt and his team the ability to have direct feedback from retirees who are using these insurance products day in and day out. That's really valuable for them as well. So thank you for those of you who did tune in. And I know the Zoom meeting today was a little bit clunky. It's the first time we've used that technology. I had a couple of members reach out to me personally following the meeting who had some trouble connecting and were a little bit upset about that. I apologize. But keep in mind, we try to communicate with our members through as many different avenues as possible. Everything from our newsletter to these videos to the weekly email messages that come from me every Friday morning, our virtual meetings, our in-person meetings, our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, our website, and things like the Zoom webinars to provide an additional level of service. Now, there's no one size fits all. One tool may work well for one retiree and another tool may work well for someone else. Some of you love the newsletter. Some of you would prefer to get your news through these videos every week. So we're going to continue to use as many different avenues as we can to get you the information that you need to give you peace of mind, to allow you to make an informed decision when it comes to open enrollment and just types of things that you need to know as a public retiree. Now, in terms of things that you need to know, let me update all of you of where we're at with the COLA. Now, April is a key month for us. As I think most of you know by now, it's really the start of the legislative process involving the state budget. The House of Representatives released its version of the FY24 budget this past Wednesday. It contains a 3% COLA for state and teacher retirees. It also includes a new 3-year funding schedule for both the state and teacher retirement systems. And the pension appropriation for FY24 is going to be over $4.1 billion. That's billion with a B. So there is a lot of money flowing into the retirement system. That pays for the state's share of ongoing pension costs, as well as paying down the unfunded liability from years ago. So there's a new 3-year schedule that goes into effect at the beginning of FY24 on July 1st. What we are now focused on is an amendment to the budget being offered by State Representative Mark Cusack from Braintree. Representative Cusack is also the House Chairman of the Joint Committee on Revenue, which is a key committee. He's a senior member of the House leadership. And we are so thankful to Chairman Cusack for stepping up and offering to file an amendment on our behalf to increase the state and teacher retirees' COLA base from the current $13,000 level up to a new level of $16,000. And if we're successful, this would go into effect on July 1st for the coming COLA, which again, we believe will be 3% going forward. Last year, the focus was on the COLA percentage, which ended up being 5%. This year, our focus is on increasing the base. And there has not been an increase in the state and teacher base in 12 years. In our opinion, it's long overdue. We have made a very strong case, not only why this is justified, because I think everybody understands why it's justified. You know, this is your money. You depend on your pension benefits as a retiree. Many of you, even if you qualify for Social Security, as you know, it's greatly reduced by the windfall elimination provision and or the government pension offset. So your public pension is your primary source of retirement income in most cases. And our legislators and the legislative leadership understand this. At the end of the day, however, it always comes down to cost. And it's important for us to time our push for higher COLA base or higher benefits at a time when we believe that the system is in a position to absorb those costs and be able to do so without sacrificing or putting in danger the future solvency of the system, because of course none of us want our pension system to be in any kind of danger, and that's certainly not the case. It's just the absolute opposite of that. The system has done very, very well over the years, and Treasurer Goldberg over the past almost 9 years now has done a fantastic job of being the chairperson of the Pritt Fund, and Michael Trotsky and his team at Pritt have done a wonderful job of growing those assets. And what we are saying now is that the success of that system must be shared with the members of the system who depend on those benefits, and that's you, the retirees. But keeping in mind, that there are going to be limits to how far we can go with this. And some of you may be saying, well, why is it only $16,000? Why can't it be 18 or 20? The simple answer to that is the cost. The system was not designed to pay COLA benefits on the full pension. We are incrementally making steps in that direction, but it's not something that can happen overnight. And even just going to a $16,000 base adds $1.5 billion in new unfunded liability to the state and teacher systems combined. Now, the good news is that because the state just adopted a new funding schedule, this proposal does not add any additional appropriation to the current budget. In fact, it will not affect the state's appropriation until FY27. And hopefully by then, the system will continue to do well. So far, 2023 has been a pretty good year in terms of investments. Last year was a bad year, but over the life of the system, it has done very well. And we believe that the costs associated with the COLA and the modest step forward in terms of going to a $16,000 base can be absorbed into the pension funding schedule with little to no impact on the state's appropriation. So what we are doing, and look closely online on Friday and going into next week, we will be posting the amendment number being offered by Representative Cusack. We ask those of you who are state or teacher retirees or just want to help out, contact your local state representative, ask them to sign on to Chairman Cusack's amendment. The more representatives we have on this amendment pushing the legislative leadership to act, the more likely we are to be successful. So the budget is scheduled to be debated in the House during the week of April 24th. So it will be a week from this coming Monday. The budget debate will start, and we will be providing a full update for all of you next Friday in terms of the amendment, the co-sponsors, and what the outlook is looking like going forward. In the meantime, we continue to receive a lot of very good news from the local level. In fact, just this afternoon, I'm recording this on Thursday evening. Just this afternoon, we received word from the town of Falmouth Retirement System that last night, the Falmouth Town Meeting approved a COLA base increase for Falmouth retirees going from the current $14,000 up to a new level of $16,000 for their local retirees. And this is just one more example of a local community stepping up and doing the right thing, sharing the success of their retirement system with their public retirees from that community. So I want to thank the Falmouth Retirement Board and their executive director for all of the hard work that went into getting this done, because that, at the end of the day, is really where the rubber meets the road at the local level. The local retirement board members and staff working closely with local government officials to make the case as to why this is necessary, how the system works, how it's going to be paid for, and at the end of the day, getting these measures across the finish line in a successful way to benefit the members of the local system. We also received word this week that the city of Newton, their retirement board, unanimously passed a COLA base increase going from the current $12,000 in Newton up to $15,000 to be phased in over the coming 3 years. Now, Newton is one of just 6 retirement systems out of the 102 local systems that remain at a $12,000 base that was put in place back in 1998, 25 years ago. Been a quarter of a century now that the city of Newton has maintained the same $12,000 COLA base for their local retirees. But the Newton Retirement Board unanimously, with the support of Newton Mayor Ruth Ann Fuller, have endorsed increasing the base. That measure is now before the Newton City Council. They are expected to take up this measure over the next couple of weeks. We will be working closely with our allies in Newton and the Newton Retirement Board members to gain the support of the City Council and finally increase the COLA base for their local retirees. But I want to thank the Newton Retirement Board members, particularly elected member Kelly Byrne, who's the former or retired executive director from Newton. She has really been spearheading this effort at the local level. I can't thank you enough. and we're going to be working to try to get this done. So for any of you who, whether you live in Newton or you're a state retiree, in any of these communities, it's very important that everybody stick together and that you support each other. It doesn't matter, in the case of Newton, for instance, if you are a Newton retiree or if you just happen to live in Newton. We need to do our part collectively to support one another, urge our local officials to do right by their local retirees, as well as urging our state officials to do right by state and teacher retirees. And in doing so, we're all going to be successful together. So with that, I'm going to sign off for this week. We'll have more information for you going forward in terms of the COLA and the other activities, other legislation that we're working on. But be well, enjoy this beautiful spring weather, and we'll talk to you again really soon. Bye-bye, everybody.